Good morning. You're listening to AVNewsCast.com on News Talk 1380.
Good morning. I cued you, and he didn't even turn your mic on.
No.
You know?
Are we all good today?
Yeah, we're good.
The government shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yet the world
I'm
still
so
spins.
just yeah. Oh yeah, the world will still spin, but just so disappointed. So disappointed.
Well, we'll talk about that. A lot of people are disappointed. Last night was
I'm thinking it's not going to affect a lot of people, and I was trying to think of the people around me that it would affect, and you guys popped into my head.
We're all good.
You are, really?
Oh yeah, we're all
Totally.
good. If there's an emergency, there's an emergency.
We're
shut down or not, stuff's happening.
Okay. That's what I was concerned about.
Oh no.
Now,
We're
the world's largest tarp supplier is alive and well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know?
Good.
We've got a couple of guests coming on the show today.
Yes, we do.
Well, they're calling in. We're going to be talking about Obamacare and a lot of stuff like that.
I had my hat of it.
Or the Affordable Care Act. Let's bring one of them on now. Good morning. You are on live on News Talk Radio.
Hey, how you doing? This is Johnathan Ervin.
Hi, Johnathan.
Jonathan.
Thank you so
Hey.
much for calling in.
Hey, I'm glad to call in.
How you be this morning?
How you be?
How you be?
Why would you talk to me like that?
I've heard that vernacular before, but
Jonathan, I'm wondering why he would use it to you.
I'm fine.
I say it to everybody, so stop with that.
Does he?
All right.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm
We're
good.
good.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, my goodness.
You know,
Okay.
Angelina, you've got to stop that.
No. You don't use it to everybody. It's a
I
subliminal
do.
thing that you do. You don't do it to everybody.
Really?
When's the last time you said how you be to Mr. Fox?
You know what? That's a funny thing you ask. Okay?
Hey, brah.
Because yesterday, that was exactly my text to Sandra Kramer.
That's a typo on your phone.
No, it's not.
Anyway, Jonathan, we
You
really
guys are a riot. Wow.
thank you so much for calling, Jonathan. It's an important day.
Well, on many different fronts. I mean, you guys have lots of incredible things going from state to local to national. I mean, it's a lot of things going on to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of things. In Palmdale, there's roughly 65,000 voters that have been told that their vote doesn't count right now.
Right. Well, sort of.
Right.
65,000 haven't voted yet. There have been some absentee ballots. They've been mailed out, but really, we're in the middle of an election, and Judge Mooney decided to
Shut it down.
set it down. So that is precedent. That's a precedent. That's very
It's amazing.
It's incredible. And I don't know if that's going to go towards helping the cities get along. I think it may. I think it may make it a little worse.
Might be a bit of an impediment there, huh?
It could, because I'll tell you, in my election in 2010, when they let Victoria Laval run and 2,000 votes, they called her the next day. The city of Lancaster told her 2,000 votes weren't going to count. I didn't see the city of Palmdale calling and coming to their defense. So it's going to be a showdown. So this is very exciting times in the Antelope Valley for sure.
Now, showdown, Jonathan, where? Because at the end of the day, though, okay, I understand that Palmdale is going to appeal it, and I don't know whether they'll be successful or not, but, at the end, a lot of people are really disappointed with the entire situation.
Right. I agree. I agree they are. I think when I say showdown, what I mean is if new leadership doesn't arise in both cities, our trajectory is going to be the same. It's going to be more. They're going to continue to bicker. They're going to continue to not get along. So what I'm saying, as far as the showdown is concerned, this is going to continue until new blood is injected into both councils.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. I didn't care much for yesterday's LA Times article.
Oh, wow. Prickly, the cactus curtain, very prickly. That was pretty interesting. I think
I kind of like that quote, though.
It's a good quote, good writing. I mean, that's not the worst article I've seen on Antelope Valley, but personalities. They're bigger than life. You got Rex Parris, obviously, champion of the downtrodden as far as lawyer is concerned. And you have Jim Ledford, the humble gentleman. And so those two personalities, they contrast in the article, whether you like both of those guys or not. They're the leaders of our two cities,
Right.
which, for that matter, my kids can't really tell the difference. Most people really can't tell the difference. One of my kids goes to school at Joe Walker. That's actually in Portville. Another one, my other two children go to school in Palmdale. But I live in Lancaster. They don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And most people don't. And I think once you get some more level-headed people onto the council, they'll be able to say, hey, man, I work in Palmdale. I live in Lancaster. We're one community. Demographics are identical. There's no reason at all that we shouldn't be working for solutions that are regional, whether that be energy, whether that be jobs. Can you imagine Rex Parris flying to Hawaii with Jim Ledford and him giving his pitch on why we should have an airport? They can do a lot of incredible things.
It's amazing.
Together.
It's amazing because right now the Antelope Valley is at a point where it can absolutely blow up. It could be the next San Fernando Valley, honestly, because of the growth out here. I mean, I'm new to this area relatively. I've been here, I think, 5 years, and it's tremendous the possibilities that both cities can have.
It does, especially with the corridor that they may build to connect us with the connect Palmdale with the 15. I mean, just think if Rex puts his star power behind that, Jim puts his star power behind that, and we're going to get something done. We can do a lot of things regionally that we wouldn't be able to do individually as cities. And I think there's a lot to be said for the two mayors getting along and being able to make this valley better as a whole.
Well, bringing a lawsuit against the city of Palmdale,
That's not helping.
citing, the voters' right, that didn't help.
No.
Okay.
I know.
And it's really hard for me specifically because I don't understand his position. I don't understand why Mr. Parris would find it necessary to be, regardless to whether or not he thinks it's a viable issue, to put himself in line in that to cause more division. I don't understand.
Well, I think from a voter standpoint, Voting Rights Act, the California Voting Rights Act of 2001, obviously polarized voting is an issue. It came up in 2001, I believe, and the voters in Palmdale voted it down. But Rex has a thing about standing up for people that he feels are being taken advantage of, and I think that's his rationale as far as putting a minority on the council in Palmdale. I think that's where he's coming from is, hey, there really has only been one minority in the history of Palmdale and Richard Loa, and the demographics of the community has changed. Let's see if we can get more minorities on the council. I think that's what he said. That his mentality is going into it is to ensure minorities have a better voter representation, in which the polarized vote said that they did. And I think that's his mantra. That's what he's going by as far as why he took up the lawsuit against Palmdale.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. When you look at Palmdale, the Hispanic population is larger than the Caucasian population right now.
Right.
Okay? Then I'm Caucasian. I'm a minority. Where's my rights?
Come on.
No,
Well,
just flip it around a little bit.
You know what?
I'll talk about that. I'm from Michigan.
Me too.
University of Michigan. I'm a Wolverine. There's been several lawsuits to deal with affirmative action that has said I'm a Caucasian person, and I've been discriminated against due to the fact that minorities or some other class of individual has been put ahead of me in the entrance process and getting into college. So I get where this is going due to the fact that the minority population is rising, and I'll just say it. I mean, this nation was supposed to be a melting pot. We're continuing down that path of trying to be, but I'm not going to say that that's not true with you. I mean, Lee Rogers, who you're going to have on later, has said, eventually, I'm running for Congress now, but eventually this could be, a Latino area, and there's going to be Latino representation, but you would think that any elected official would stand for everybody, and they should. And
they should.
If people have a issue with Mayor Paris, that should be brought up with them. Hey, what about our Caucasians? What about our vets? What about our disabled? I mean, there are a lot of groups that can claim that, and at some point we're all going to have to come together and say, hey, whether you're white, black, brown, I need a job, I need good health care, I want to be safe. I think all of those things are critical for our community, and if we come together and we focus on that, I'm a military guy, if we focus on those 3 mission objectives, bringing jobs, keeping us safe, keeping us healthy, if we concentrate on those 2 things, I don't think color should even matter. Color
should never matter, but it always seems to come up. And it's so funny that Steve would make mention of him being a minority. When I was at a debate last night and found out that I'm a subgroup, Steve, which really does not sit well with me. Yeah, African Americans are considered a subgroup when you talk about groups of how they're teaching the children. And I'm looking at Steve like, a subgroup? What is that? Why would I be a subgroup? It's 2012 and I'm 13 and I'm a subgroup?
I did hear it last night, and Angelina got all flipped out.
Because wouldn't it flip you out, though? Would you want to be a subgroup?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I get it, okay? I get it. And instead of referring to all the kids just as kids and students, then they broke it up into subgroups. And as soon as Angelina found out she was a subgroup, okay, which I'll admit, was different.
Now, I'm gonna say it, and obviously we've gotten into this race issue. I'm African American, and
are you? I didn't know.
I am, and there are issues within the African American community that are acute, as far as our incarceration rate, our test scores, our fatherless homes. There are issues that are more acute depending on culture, okay? And sometimes, we can't be so sensitive as to ignore the things that are going on in the community and attack certain issues. I know Mayor Paris has an issue where he's trying to help the incarceration rate as far as African American males. So there are issues where they are racial, because I have 2 sons, and they have out of 2 sons, one of those has a very, very high probability of going to jail. And me as an official, I'm going to be sensitive to that and say, how do we fix this issue? Why is it that out of 3 African American males, one of them is going to go to jail? That's an issue I think as a nation we should be concerned about, and how we attack that, and we shouldn't be going one against the other. Well, I'm white, I'm Mexican, I'm black. When we have enough of that in our jail system, why don't we focus on problems? Say, hey, we have a really big issue going on in the African American community. We want to see young African American males successful. What are we going to do to fix that? And I think you don't have to necessarily get too racial. You can look at the mission objective, which is keeping African American males out of jail, and take it on its face, as opposed to getting into all the discrete issues that can cause division. You can look at the facts and say, how do we fix the actual issue? And I'm a facts-based guy from being a military background. Not our roommates are white, Hispanic, Asian. We have a melting pot in the military, and I shy away from the racial divide, but I do not ignore some of the cultural issues that we have. I know that we need solutions for those.
Yeah.
You know what? We were going to talk about the Affordable Care Act. How did this happen?
We got so far.
Is this all because of me?
It was a good conversation.
It is a good, yeah.
So, Affordable Care Act. I'll tell you, there are many workers today that are going to be faced with furloughs, and in my humble opinion, is due to the fact that we had erroneous things added to the CR, to the resolution, in regards to Obamacare. Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was passed in 2010. The Supreme Court, it held up the mandate portion of it, and we also had an election where we had the ability to say, okay, Obamacare, we don't want it, let's kick Obama out of there. We had several opportunities as a country to obviously bring about bills to change it, but it's here now. For us in particular, it's called Covered California. They're taking sign-ups today.
Right.
Primarily, they want you to use the website, but there is a place in town. There are phone numbers you can call to ask questions. But I will tell you, having looked at the website, and it's www.coveredca.com, and again, it's www.coveredca.com. It's very, very well set up website. You can see how much health insurance is going to cost for you. If you already have health insurance, you do not need to sign up. This is for persons, individuals, and families that thought they couldn't afford health insurance and that do not currently have health insurance. And they can go on this site. It'll tell you a ballpark figure based on your zip code, your age, and how much you make, how much a plan is going to cost, and it'll direct you to a place where you can actually sign up for coverage that's going to start January 1st. And so it's an incredible opportunity, I think, as the Republicans would call personal responsibility, taking care of your health, because a lot of preventative health things are already covered, like mammograms, colonoscopies. Those type of things are covered at no fee, and that'll really help the American public stay healthy.
Okay, so what do you think about the government shutdown then? You just said that it's a great website, and the Affordable Care Act is a great thing because it allows Americans that thought they couldn't afford health insurance to get it.
Right.
But what it also does is it directs every American that didn't want to spend the money for health care to have to go get it.
Yeah, it's called personal responsibility.
Okay.
In my view, when this was brought up by Mitt Romney, he felt it was a core value of United States citizens to take care of yourself. Every time I go to the emergency room, there are personnel there that are dealing with acute things that if they went to the hospital regularly, but they didn't have insurance, they wouldn't be there. Taking my tax dollars as far as being spent with acute care at the emergency room when it could have been taken care of with preventative care. And I think that's the whole basis of ensuring everyone has access to affordable health care is really good for everybody because those persons are paying their own way. I don't want to pay their way. I think they should pay their own way. And I think, Republicans would agree with me. Obviously, I'm sort of the leader of Democrats. I'm president of the Democratic Club of the High Desert, so people expect me to have the super liberal point of view, but that's not necessarily the case. I would say I'm a middle-of-the-road individual with fact and logic-based solutions for our country's problems, and I think people paying their own way, how can you argue against that?
Right now, this morning, actually last night, the Department of Health and Human Services put out a list of the health insurance costs. And in 16 states across the country, prior to the Affordable Care Act, your policy was X amount of dollars. Under the Affordable Care Act, on average, it went up anywhere from 18 to 35%. That's a policy cost increase.
Yeah.
Under the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, and I have talked to you and the listeners before about that, and I really think that there should be some type of regulations in regards to the insurance companies raping us specifically. They're taking advantage of the fact that it's a mandate, But again, I'll say that I believe that this is the growing pains. And just like when California was mandated to have the obligation to car insurance, and we all had fits about that, and then 5 years later, you can get car insurance for $30 a month. So you just need to let the laws of the land prevail. Sit through the growing pains, and it will get affordable. There's catastrophic policies that are available that are pretty cost effective for people that don't want to spend a lot of money. But the point of the matter is that it's time for us all to have that sense of personal responsibility and pay our way. We shouldn't be paying for your diabetes or your heart attack or whatever your acute issues are because you didn't go to the doctor prior to that.
And I think, what you'll find, Steve, is in those markets where they have competition, again, that's a free market competition, that's another Republican mantra. In those markets where you have a lot of competition, the rates are going to go down. In a market in Wyoming where they only have maybe two insurance companies, the rates are going to be higher. But as we have more people enter the market, more people compete, the rates will go down. I personally, with my company, I haven't seen an increase, but obviously, if something needs fixing, Congress has the ability to go out there and fix it. I think Obama delayed as far as the large businesses mandating certain rules. He delayed that. I don't think he's against changing things that are wrong with the program. But as far as an overall basis, I think providing health care or the availability of health care to people is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you. The latest poll that was taken this morning,
you and the polls from
people
Fox
are
Station.
no. And it's not a Fox poll. Okay, the latest poll is people are not happy with the direction that the Republicans have taken it. The House Speaker has taken it. They're not happy with this at all, and they're disappointed. Oh. And that's not just Democrats. Okay,
no, you're speaking the truth now.
That's the country. They're not happy about it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, people are afraid of change. I mean, we traditionally are. There's not a lot of people that if you're working for a huge company and you've been 15 years in that company, if they change the software, people are going to say, it doesn't work, this doesn't work. I mean, you get that. People don't like change, but it's a necessary change.
And just look at it. Look at the government shutdown on the plus side right now.
Okay.
This is the first time I think that I can remember that the deficit isn't growing. Okay? Let it hang out for a while.
Okay, well, we're going to find out.
There's a lot of
we'll
people
find
that
out
are
if 800. Yeah, and we don't know. The last time this happened during the Clinton administration, they did give them back their pay. It was retroactive. Whether that's going to happen this time or not, I don't know. Hey, Johnathan, we've only got a couple of minutes. Anything else you want to talk about or share with us?
Well, I think I like to call out Congressman McCarthy, Congressman McKeon, and I think they need to show some leadership as far as avoiding the cliff that we're falling off of. Obamacare has been passed. It's here. It's not going anywhere, obviously. Obama's open to changes on that. But they really need to take care of this country because the debt ceiling is coming up soon, and that could be absolutely catastrophic. So I'm calling on Congressman McCarthy, Congressman Buck McKeon to do the right thing and take the erroneous things off the CR and just pass a clean bill. And that's all that was asked for. They weren't able to do it. They refused to do it. They need to do it. That's the bottom line.
Does that just increase our credit rating, or what are we going to do? We need to cut something out. And another huge government program isn't going to help that any.
Well, actually, it said it's going to lower the deficit over time. If you look at the numbers from the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, it says Obamacare will lower the budget over time. But lowering our deficit, obviously, two biggest things are deficit: Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Those things are going to need to be tackled soon, and those are the fights that I think we need to get into in this administration. Is how do we lower the burden on our country with these large programs?
They're all Ponzi schemes.
No, if you put solar on your house at a cost of $15,000, you will eventually, by year 30 or 35, get it back. So it will eventually come back around.
Yeah.
Buck McKeon, put out a press release this morning that Congressman McKeon said, the government is shut down, but my office is open. My staff is here, and we work for the constituents, and we are here to help you. Okay, that was his press release this morning.
I hope people are calling his office and telling him, hey, need the government going again, because it needs to be going.
I hear you. Johnathan, thanks for calling in.
Well, thank you so much, Johnathan. I really appreciate you calling in.
Hey, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys having me.
Have a great day. You're welcome on the show anytime.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and I think we're going to come back with Dr. Lee Rogers.
Nice.
All right, so stand by. You're listening to the #1 News Talk radio program in the Antelope Valley, AVNewsCast, and we'll be right back.
Vote for my daddy on November 5th. You know why? Because you put back music and arts and sports. Please vote for my daddy. Please get the most vote. Because to put back music and arts back in the schools. Goodbye.
Who's that kid? That kid is Justin Moffitt, age 6, who is a prodigy student of the Palmdale School District, and Jeffrey and Star Moffitt are the proud parents to Justin. Jeffrey Moffitt, tax attorney and candidate for the Palmdale School Board. Moffitt wants your vote on November 5th. Why? Because your vote, Moffitt, will restore after-school programs such as music, arts, and sports back into the Palmdale School District to prepare students with becoming globally competitive. Vote for Moffitt on November 5th. Why? Because Moffitt believes students are first before politics. Why? Because Moffitt is the most qualified. Your Moffitt vote is your voice to ensure your child will not be left behind. Moffitt is the people's choice. Moffitt on November 5th.
This is a public notice from Varango Solar. If you're a Southern California Edison customer and your electric bill is over $150 a month, this could be your last chance to convert your home to solar energy for zero money down. Due to high demand, government funding for this program will run out in a few weeks. To see if you qualify for zero down solar, call 800-616-0200. That's 800-616-0200. The California Solar Initiative expanded state support of solar technology as part of the governor's Million Solar Roofs vision for California. A number of Southern California utilities have already shut down their government incentives due to budgetary constraints. However, if you're a Southern California Edison customer and your electric bill is over $150 a month, rebates to go solar for zero money down are still available. But you need to act now. Rebate budgets will only last a few more weeks. To submit your application, call Varango Solar now at 800-616-0200. 800-616-0200. That's 800-616-0200.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 935263.
There's a school in Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WASC certified, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds what the state of California recommends. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure for information technology, arts, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School is now going to have a full CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, track, cheerleading, and more. They're an open enrollment school, publicly funded, and have been in business for 12 years, fully approved by Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small class sizes such as 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 in 4 through 8, and just 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale today at 661-272-1701. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale, 661-272-1701. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
Drowning is a leading cause of accidental death and brain injury for children. The National Drowning Prevention Alliance believes we can change that if everyone follows the Safer 3 rules. For safer water, prevent children's unsupervised access to all types of water. Every pool and spa should be surrounded by a 4-sided isolation fence with self-closing, self-latching gates. All house doors that lead to the pool need alarms. And if a child is missing, check the pool area first. For safer kids, provide careful adult supervision of children when they're in and around water. Teach them how to swim and to follow water safety rules, such as never to play near drains. For safer response, know what to do in an emergency. Have a phone and rescue equipment near the pool and learn CPR. Please, Visit poolsafely.gov. That's poolsafely.gov and have a safer 3 summer.
Welcome back to AVNewsCast.com on News Talk 1380.
We're talking about the Affordable Care Act, and I think we have Dr. Lee Rogers on the phone.
Nice.
All right. Lee, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Good
Hey,
morning,
thanks
Doctor.
very much. Thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So we're talking.
on?
Yeah, we're on.
You're on live. Yeah. We're talking about Washington, the Affordable Care Act, the government shutdown. Now, Lee, not only running for Congress, but you're a doctor. Talk to me about the pluses and perhaps maybe some minuses about the Affordable Care Act.
No minuses.
There are some minuses.
I think it's not a perfect bill, and there are some problems that we're going to have to work through with it. It was rushed through, and typically after a bill gets passed, a very large bill like even like Medicare. There are several bills that happen afterwards that fix some of the problems with the bill. But what we have currently in Washington, as you see right now, is both sides that have dug in their heels so far that there's not really any room to make any improvements in the bill, and that's wrong, and that's a fault on both sides. But what I see happening right now is that for some reason the Republicans are so afraid that either the bill is very bad, they either think it's very bad, or they're afraid that it's very good, and they don't want it to take effect. Mm-hmm. And it's we send people to Washington not to shut down the government, but to run the government, and I think that's going to be shown in the public sentiment. So I'll just briefly. I mean, I don't know what you guys covered before I got on, but there are very popular parts of the Affordable Care Act, like preventing people from getting thrown off their insurance when they get sick. Here, just to summarize, the Affordable Care Act is not an insurance plan. People sometimes incorrectly say, I'm going to get Obamacare, or we're on Obamacare. What it is a set of rules with how the private insurance industry has to interact with you, the patient. And so it prevents the private insurance industry from throwing you off your plan if you get sick. It prevents them from excluding you if you have a pre-existing condition, which, nearly all of us do. It requires them to keep children on their parents' insurance until they're 26. So they're no longer children; they're young adults, but they have to stay on their insurance till they're 26 if they want. It prevents them from not covering children. Some plans just wouldn't cover children at all, and that's not right. So there are some real positives to it. There are also some negatives to it. I think the device tax, which was tried to be addressed in this current bill, is going to harm the medical device industry, which is one of the industries in the United States that provides high-paying jobs, and we export a lot of medical devices out of the United States. People trust our medical devices, so that's something that's going to cause some problems. And the Independent Payment Advisory Board also, it's not very popular with doctors because we think that it might be making some medical decisions by groups of people who are not necessarily medical trained. So that will have to be worked through a bit.
So
too.
What is that? Is that like another form of utilization review board?
Yeah, well, yes, it is similar to, not necessarily utilization review, but it happens beforehand. So the IPAB, they'll make a decision on what's covered and what's not covered for Medicare. This is a part of Medicare.
Is that the mythical death panel that they've been talking about?
That's what they call it. But it's not like that. But, the biggest death panel that we have right now are private insurance companies that make these decisions all the time without any public oversight. This will at least have public oversight, but there are treatments that are coming out. New treatments are always very expensive, but there are new treatments that come out all the time, and doctors want to have access to those new treatments for their patients. And they don't always have the best evidence behind them, but if you're dealing with somebody who's very sick, who has a risk of dying in a short period of time, you don't really care that much about the evidence. You've exhausted all of that point. You want to have something available for those catastrophic cases.
Now, I've read, and in fact, I read an article this morning in Forbes that they talked about a lot of doctors that want to opt out of this, that don't want to be involved.
You mean out of the exchanges?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of obviously a lot of my friends are doctors. I do a lot of events with doctors. It's just uncertainty that's causing a lot of anxiety, and I think that the messaging could have been better about the bill and what's involved in being a practitioner and a patient. I think as it goes along and people see how it's being implemented, I think it'll get better. But most people don't know what to expect from it, and I mean even me. I mean I know a lot about it, but I don't know how it's going to actually impact medical practice.
Well, it seems like the day of PPOs are going to be gone in a sense, because with the insurance companies having to outline different ideas of insurance costs, it just seems like you're not going to be able to get the top dollar that you would have been able to if you only took PPO plans as a practicing physician. It looks like
right.
it's not going to be that type of thing anymore.
Yeah, well, look, most doctors don't want to be a doctor and an accountant.
Right.
That's what's going on right now. Is a lot of times you have to be a doctor and a business person and an accountant, and you don't go to medical school to do that. So a lot of doctors are willing to take a little bit of a reduction as long as it streamlines medical practice. But that's the worry, is that it looks like there's a lot of things that are going on that are not. It's not going to streamline medical practice at all. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult with the electronic medical records, which are great, right, in concept. But what we have are 400 and something electronic medical records that don't talk to each other. They're all made by different companies, and if you're a patient in Palmdale and you go to Colorado and you ski and you break your leg, nobody in Colorado is going to be able to access your record, and that's not what this was designed to do. So there are things that are going to make medical practice more difficult and make it more time-consuming for you to see patients, and if you're making less money as you're doing it, the doctors are not happy with that.
I could see a lot of doctors going to Debbie Dootson and learning the truck driving trade, just because it's not going to be practical anymore.
Yeah, the risk is, especially in California with this new battle over MICRA. I'm not sure if you guys have ever talked about that, but that's the malpractice law in California that limits non-economic damages. Doctors are very worried about this, and it's going to increase medical practice even further. So, I think that medicine right now is a field in flux, and you have to go into it for the right reasons.
You do. You do, because the days of Marcus Welby is over, and it's not necessarily a field that you're going to make crazy money hand over fist, unless you have an absolute specialty, obviously. But I used to work in the medical field for a good 15 years, and it changed from that point that I stopped probably 10 years ago to now. It's changed dramatically. And insurance, for me anyway, I think the insurance companies are the biggest culprit, because between their ICD-9 codings and what you're approved on by means of what you can charge a customer, and all of those kind of different mandates, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Well, Angela, I think I agree with you 100%. I do think the insurance companies have driven the cost of healthcare, and the real reason why is that if you're an insurance company, and you're in the United States, we have for-profit insurance companies. They really don't have those in other countries. They have private insurance markets in other countries, but their insurance companies are not allowed to be for-profit,
right,
to make money off other people's illnesses. And what you have is there's only three ways for an insurance company to make money. They either charge you more as a customer, they pay a doctor less, or they provide fewer services. Mm-hmm. And insurance companies that are for-profit have to turn a profit every quarter in order to pay their investors. Otherwise, it doesn't look so good for them on the stock market. So you've got that's driving the cost. There's so much of this profit built into it instead of being able to just take care of patients. And an insurance company should exist to pay your medical bills. That doesn't mean that they can't employ lots of people. It doesn't mean that their CEO can't make lots of money. It's just that I don't think that they should be an investment for people, to invest in people's sicknesses.
Exactly.
Lee, let me ask you a question, and I'm going to move away from affordable health care for a minute. Did you have a chance to read the article in the LA Times yesterday about our so-called cactus curtain here?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, there was an article yesterday in the LA Times that talked about the disagreements that Palmdale and Lancaster had. Yesterday, Judge Mooney, LA Superior Court Judge Mooney, ordered Palmdale to halt their election, their city council election, because of the lawsuit that was brought by R.X. Paris and his fellow attorney, Shankman, for the California Voters' Right Act. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a huge proponent of making sure that everybody has not only the right to vote, but equal access to vote. And so I think in general the California Voting Rights Act is there for a good reason, and it does help to limit discrimination of voters and getting the right people in office that are actually going to represent their communities. But I have to say that you've got two cities, and I know that most of Lancaster is in the 25th district, and pretty much all of Palmdale is in the 25th district. But you've got two cities that are right next to one another that really should be working together for the betterment of the Antelope Valley, and instead you've got all of this stuff that's going on that's pitting one city against another, including the mayor of one city suing the other city, and
it's childish.
Right, and the mayor's now suing Santa Clarita and some other school boards, and just down the 14 from you guys. That stuff really does not look good. And if you want to improve the way that voting is done, I think there are other ways to do it, and you don't have to bring it up. I mean, I'm sure he's going to make lots of money on this, on this, but it's that to me just doesn't have the right optics.
Yeah, no, it's not right. We're too close to each other. I mean, he could very well have a valid point, which we don't know about because he hasn't been able to come on the show. But he could have a very valid point, but it's not a point that he should be taking because he's too close. Mm-hmm. We're too close. We should be family, not contenders.
Well, the sad part about this is that there were only so many seats open on the Palmdale City Council, but there were so many people running and the makeup was of minorities that there was a guarantee. Okay,
Right.
There was absolutely a guarantee in this election that a minority individual would have been on the city council. So why even stop it?
I don't see the ethnic enclaves here that districting is designed to help fix and to help have people get representation. I don't see Little Mexico. I don't see Little Thailand.
Yeah, what do you think about districting, Lee, when it comes to local elections?
Well, I think in general districting is probably better than one large pot to elect people out of. I do think that it helps minorities and not necessarily even ethnic minorities, but just people in different areas have different interests, and so you want somebody who's got your interests from your community, your neighborhood, to go and represent you on a city council.
Are the populated areas of the Antelope Valley that different?
I mean, you're going to know
neighborhood?
If there's a pothole down my street, I know about it. You may not, and you're representing my area. So I completely get the districts in that sense. But the color part, I mean, you don't have to be black to represent me. So I hold offense to that because you're not speaking to me just because you look like me.
Right, and that's the point I was trying to make. That I don't think this, in my opinion on districting, doesn't have anything to do with ethnicities. It has more to do with who's in your neighborhood.
Well, that's what the lawsuit basically is about, though. It's too shiny white up there in Palmdale City Hall.
Yeah. And that's why I don't agree with the lawsuit. But but I do agree with districting. I think districting probably gives you somebody in office that's closer to what's going on in your community. I mean, it's like the equivalent of saying, well, should all 435 House of Representatives members just be elected at large from the entire country, or should we have somebody from your district that knows what's going on?
Right.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question, and this is totally getting away from that, but just about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, there was a bill passed in our state legislature, and then the governor just signed it, and that was AB 1266, which is the transgender school bill. A lot of people didn't agree with that, and a lot of people can't wrap their head around it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I followed that, and I'm very supportive of LGBT rights, and I think that there are you always have to protect the rights of the individual, and we have issues with bullying that is going on in schools that's leading to not only a lot of emotional problems, but some kids commit suicide based on this, and so I think we need to do a better job of looking at the emotional development of some of our young men and women that are going through schools, and I understand the difficulties in trying to incorporate somebody of a physical gender who identifies themselves with the other gender and incorporate them into a school program, which is a structured program. There's got to be a way to do it where both sides can win, and I think that this is the first step in really looking at it. I know it's people are nervous about bathroom facilities and showers. I mean, I think that all showers should be separate anyway in schools. I mean, I don't know why kids are taking showers together in this day and age. They should all have separate shower facilities, but it's I don't think it's an easy issue.
It's not. It's a complicated issue. There's no question. But LAUSD has had that policy in place for 7 or 8 years, and they claim that they've never had one instance or one issue as a result of that policy